Hello and thank you for joining the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangouts. I'm Ayodele Ozubaku. Today on the program, 17 states begin payment of 30,000 naira minimum wage as Anambra, others risk industrial action. Boko Haram faction fires at police helicopter as police crush bandits in Benengwari area of Kaduna. And later on the show, federal government moves to have United States reverse a visa restriction on Nigeria. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Sam Ibemere. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining us again. Now, despite the legal and moral burden arising from the 30,000 naira minimum wage law in Nigeria, most governors are for dragging on its implementation in their states. As at the last count, only 17 states have begun payments of the new minimum wage to workers 10 months after the signing of the bill into law. To ensure compliance, organized labor is mobilizing workers for strikes in the states yet to commence the negotiations for the implementation. Now, states like Anambra and 14 others are facing the risk of industrial action by workers. Babajide, look, federal government started, the implementation of this minimum wage, and they started paying. And I've not gotten any complaint from any ministry or any federal government department. From the beginning of this thing, I had this in mind that the only people that we're going to have problem with will be the state governments. And they've been setting up negotiation teams across the states. Some, like a state like Lagos State government, 35,000, good to go. But surprisingly, a state like Anambra, 4 years ago, when the governor won the election, they used to call him Mr. Latz, as in what's the name? Obiano, Willie Obiano. That's part of the strongest point in winning re-election. That worker salary, it pays as a when due and everything. So why is Anambra State for dragging on the 30,000 minimum wage?
Well, some of the information that the NSC has put out, you can't say the information is 100% correct. Some states have actually begun implementing the minimum wage. Anambra has begun implementing.
Really?
But Labour is not happy with what government paid to workers. As far as they are concerned, it's not consistent.
Okay. Are you talking about what do they call that thing? Adjustments?
Yes, the consequential
adjustment, apart from the 30,000 naira.
Yes, that is a bone of contention. You will also notice that the NSC didn't list Rivers as one of the states where the minimum wage is being implemented. This is also because they are not pleased. The NSC chapter in both Anambra and Rivers are not pleased with the outcome of the investigation, of the implementation. For example, they've received salaries, but what came to them, as far as they are concerned, what was paid to workers was not based on what was agreed. That is what they are saying in Anambra, for example, that, look, it fell short of what the workers were expecting. In Rivers State, the government is saying, no, we have begun implementation. You are only being used by politicians to give us a bad name. We've begun implementation. We've implemented consequential salary adjustment. So it may well be that what was implemented fell short of the expectations of the labor leaders, and that's why they are saying that no, they will not agree. Look at the comments of the Rivers State Commissioner for Information. They're saying Rivers State government has commenced the payment of the new minimum wage for employees of the state public service with the consequential salary adjustment as approved by the federal government.
Really?
And will not be deterred by cheap blackmail. NSC leadership should come out clearly to tell Rivers people that they are politicians instead of hiding under the cover of Labour to propagate their political agenda. So they are already seeing the stance of Labour as political, meant to embarrass,
we don't know who's telling the truth now.
meant to embarrass the state government and all that. But as far as they are concerned, they've begun paying, they've begun implementation.
That the consequential adjustment, like the federal government.
You see, from the beginning, the consequential adjustment we said would be the main problem.
The big deal, yeah.
Yes. Most states will pay with 30.
The 30,000 naira.
But you see, the consequential adjustment is what will really task the state government, because that is what will cause the wage bill to balloon. You know, so states will try their best to get the best bargain from workers so that the wage bill does not get to the level that they cannot manage. So this is the thing. And states with big, because of course Rivers is one of the states with the highest workforce in our country. Of course, I'm sure they will have looked at the situation and asked themselves, can we pay what workers are asking for on a sustainable basis? Because that has to be agreed. But if both parties sat down, because like in Sokoto State now, both parties have agreed, but they are yet to sign.
What's the meaning of that?
So why, if both of you have agreed,
Both parties have agreed,
that, okay,
but they are yet to sign.
Will it be that after you agreed, you then sat down and say,
So somebody is stalling.
it be like this thing. We may not be able to pay this on the
Okay, the part of government.
So what do you then do? Do you then go back and say, look, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's see what we can do. It's, frankly, if you ask me, 17 states have paid. I think I'm impressed. I didn't expect this to be, given when the negotiations began. I didn't even expect that. You know, states who are finally going to pay 18,000.
Yeah.
You know, so if 17 of them have paid, let Labour continue the negotiation. Ultimately, a lot more will join the bandwagon.
Big Sam, now when you want to look at the consequential adjustment Jide is talking about, and states that will be finding it difficult because there are some states they rely on the federal allocation 85–90% what they get every month. Their IGR is almost nothing to write home about. Somebody was saying it that the IGR of 30 states in Nigeria put together, that Lagos State is more than, the IGR of Lagos State is more than 30 states in Nigeria put together. That means our states are not buoyant when it comes to internally generated revenue. So what do we make of this situation?
The issues are pretty very clear. But first, I'd like to begin by saying that we used to talk about the minimum wage bill. It's no longer a bill. It's an act of parliament, meaning
Law.
that it is law. So the governors try as hard as they want, really don't have a choice, you know.
They must pay.
Yeah.
They're binding.
On the matter, they don't have a choice. So
Binded by the law.
whether they have enough to pay or not, the law demands that they have to pay the minimum wage of 30,000 naira. Now,
If that is the only thing you do in your states.
yeah, but yeah, so you have to be creative about it. That's the truth, because several issues, you know, have been raised. I mean, you talked about Lagos. We must acknowledge one thing, which is that the states are not all endowed equally.
Yes.
That is a fact. But some states have also shown creativity, you know, when it comes to managing their, you know, their resources, trying to generate revenue, and also trying to husband even the little that, you know, come their way. So we expect the governors, within the context of the law that has been put in place, to ensure that they implement the law. In fact, the law also says that in any situation, especially in companies or setups where you have, you know, is it less than 25 employees, The worker is at liberty to go to court to demand his rights. And the Ministry of Labor is empowered by that same act to press the issue on behalf of workers. So we expect that the states, in the face of the challenges in the area of revenue that they may face, will have to do all that they can to be a lot more creative, to be a lot more disciplined in terms of managing even the little resources, at their disposal. We need a lot of transparency. Ayo, you can't rule out the fact that corruption still remains quite endemic. We want to see the governors do all that they can and ensure that the processes are not just legitimate, but that everything that is done to ensure that leakages within the economy are also, caged. That way they can begin to talk about meeting the workers' demand. It's pleasing to know that states like Lagos and a few others have offered to pay even slightly higher. That is what is expected. I believe, as an individual, that if our states, if our governors, in the respective small enclaves that they manage, are very focused, are creative, they can meet the expectations of the workers. I have no doubt about it, as long as we ensure that the little leakages within the system, are all, closed up. But the other interesting thing that we must acknowledge here is that it raises the larger question, which is, for how long are we as a country, continue to pretend that we can have this minimum wage issue play across every state? Do you understand? States will have at some point face the stark reality of being able to do what is within their capacity. So it calls to question the issue of restructuring. Do you understand? We need to take another look at that law that states that once we institute a national minimum wage, then every person will have to pay. States will have to take responsibility for what they can manage and what they can pay going forward.
Babajide, now my worry here is that
I just saw a comment by
on Twitter.
One of our
Viewers.
Very famous viewers, Abu Limen,
Okay.
saying that if governors cannot pay or they are struggling to pay, how will they be able to pay in 5 years' time? Of course, it is not in 5 years' time that a minimum wage is due. The minimum wage that we are talking about now was due in 2016.
Damn it.
So
3 years behind.
Yes.
Or
So
3 or 4
now
years behind.
it is in 2021.
Yeah.
It's
Another round of negotiation.
2021.
We'll start talking about agitation for minimum
Next
wage.
year, another a fresh minimum wage is due. So, Mr. Buliman, it's not in 5 years' time. If we are to go by our constitution, because Jonathan increased it in the first quarter of 2011.
Yeah.
So, this one, we had been on it, we struggled and dragged it up all the way to the present time. So, we are behind.
We're behind.
We are in deficit, which means that by 2021, that is next year, first quarter of next year, another minimum wage is due.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
Femi is calling us from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Femi.
Okay, good day to all of you.
Yes.
Thank you.
But what I want to say is one thing. When they say minimum wage, the minimum wage applies to, that is, this is the minimum you can pay. So it doesn't necessarily mean that consequential adjustment is this thing. It has to be negotiated by each state. Then the other thing is that most of our governors, they just want to, they are not, you cannot spend money without making money. All of them have concentrated on going to Abuja and collecting every month. They are not putting that money to use to create more money for themselves. Then I want to ask one question. What about property tax? Who is responsible? Is it the federal government or the state government? If you can enlighten me on that, Thank you.
Thank you, Femi. Thank you, Femi, for calling. But actually, before Femi called, I wanted to ask you that I sat down with the governor one day, and the governor was telling me that, see, if I implement this minimum wage, that there's no problem. But I can tell you that I would have spent like 95% of the state earning to settle salary. I would not be able to do other projects. Jide, I don't know, maybe you've come across such a situation. And the civil servants in that state does not constitute up to 5% of the entire state.
I don't think there's any state where
they have
civil servants are up to 5%.
5%.
Don't think.
But that's
In some cases,
pay.
that
That
up to 1%.
That pay keeps the state running somehow.
Yeah. It's inevitable that you must pay. It's inevitable that you must work with the civil service, that you must have a public service. The truth is, governors have an obligation to block leakages. There are so many avenues through which the resources are leaking. We can no longer pretend that that is happening. And the more things get difficult, I believe the more governors will look inward, the more governors will try and cut down their excessive lifestyle, taking a private jet to Abuja.
Always in Abuja.
I know a particular governor who cannot do 2 days in his state. And I mean,
as in confirm.
now, if you find it difficult to even stay in your state and work, how would you be able to see the areas of opportunity in that state? Because you're all your life you are thinking of going to Abuja. It's Abuja all the time. And you have a state. The people voted for you. It's not the people in Abuja who voted for you, but it's Abuja that you go all the time. I really don't know what's wrong with the current generation of governors. Sit in your state and work. And when they are tired of going to Abuja, they go outside the country.
There are some governors 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
That is why they are unable to solve problems. A governor should not be lamenting that if he pays minimum wage, then there will be nothing left for social services and other things. The truth, especially even refuse evacuation, because that's also capital intensive.
Really?
Extremely capital intensive. Now, what do you think that you need all of the workers that you have? I've been saying it. Today's politicians, a lot of them are cowards. They are unable to take the big decisions. The big decisions will be painful. They will fight you, but the heaven will not fall. And I always mention Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. One reason I respect him is the fact that he took that bold step, that dangerous decision to downsize the Lagos civil service during his first term. He was not thinking that he may not be re-elected.
He was not looking at that.
You know, and the workers fought him. Where he voted on election day, he lost. At Ward C there, they showed their anger. But at the end of the day, he won. At the end of the day, he won the election, was re-elected. And he gave Lagos a fantastic civil service, a very responsive civil service, probably the best in our country. So you cannot continue to lament. If you don't need all of the dead weight that you are carrying, shed some of them. Shed some of them. Stop lamenting, but you are obligated to pay. Whether you like it or not, you are obligated to pay. So this is the thing.
It's compulsory. They have to pay. Now, still to come, Boko Haram faction fires at police helicopter as policemen crush bandits in Beningwari area of Kaduna State. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Journalist Tagout. Now, in terms of insecurity in Nigeria, Kaduna State is always in the news, and it blew our minds away with some nasty experience on Wednesday. Gunmen opened fire on a police helicopter which raided a camp of the Ansaru militant group in Kaduna State. Fox spokesman Frank Umba said the attack occurred during an operation at a camp of the group in Beningwari area of Kaduna to flush out the militants who use sophisticated anti-aircraft guns He explained that the pilots and the co-pilots successfully landed the aircraft at the Air Force Base, Kaduna, but the group lost many fighters in the operation carried out by combined team of operatives of Operation Puff Adder. Sam, to this, because of the figure that Frank Ubah gave, he said 250, and for me, it's something that's quite impressive. If you can wipe out 250 terrorists from that Binigwari, that forest.
You know, when the news broke yesterday, and the first spokesman bandied the 250, figure, it came as a shock to me. First, these are human lives, whether terrorists or otherwise. We want to assume that a very large population of the so-called number could probably be Nigerians. We understand that there are foreigners fighting up there as part of the terrorist network. But for me, the first consideration is how could we have wasted so many lives in one day?
Are you doubting the accuracy of the figure?
I'll come to that. I'll come to that. First, what touches me first is the fact that human lives. We're talking about human beings. What is the human life worth within our environment? That is what really concerns me here. 250. The first question you want to ask is, who took count? Who took head count? And if you want to address that question, you begin to ask yourself, just imagine somebody walking from one corpse to the other and counting. All right, how were these corpses moved out of the so-called forest where the incident took place? So there are a whole lot of questions.
Did they say they moved the corpses?
I mean, could they have left them there littering the entire environment? So these are issues. So you want to assume. So,
nobody lives with them in the forest. That's
nobody
said it that it's only dishonest people who live in forest.
No, but Jide, you also want to ask again the question: what is the human life worth? I mean, if you kill this alleged terrorist and left them there in the bush, it says a lot about us as a people. You want to be sure that
what are you saying now? These are dangerous people that kill Nigerians.
Maybe they will give them what is it called?
Listen to me.
Mass
burial. What the police choose to do with their corpses?
We don't have enough. We don't have enough information on this matter. I mean, this is Frank Ubah speaking. We killed 250. I have my doubts as to that number.
Up to that number.
Yeah, I have my doubts.
That was a successful operation.
Yeah. That is the claim.
That's what matters.
That is the claim.
Okay.
We don't have...
The military will not give you that kind of figure.
No, we don't have...
It's been a long time. I've not seen the military saying that.
The military
they killed Boko Haram.
They give.
250. It's been a long time.
I've never heard that they killed 250.
Boko Haram.
Let's not dwell on the figure. Let's not dwell on the figure. Let's dwell on the fact that the police led an operation that in the past we've always left to the army. This is the support, this is the kind of way I want the armed forces to operate. Look, in the real sense of the word, it is not the business of the army to be chasing kidnappers and other people around.
Within Nigeria.
It is the work of the police. But the bulk of what the police used to do, we've taken away and given to soldiers. Now the soldiers are stretched, and the president is saying, no, I'm going to withdraw soldiers from some of these places where they are currently operating. So the police are now showing that, look, we are up to the task. Many people didn't know that the police actually have special forces trained in the Northeast for counter-insurgency operations. Trained. They can do what ground troops do. And this is what happened. They use their own ground troops. Police use their own ground troops to attack these guys, and the helicopter provided close air support, as we see in operations similar to that. And then they came under fire.
But do you have any sympathy? Sam is trying to whip up That's how would they have killed?
No, I don't even know. I don't know whether it's actually sympathy, whether he moved from sympathy for them to this thing. Because those guys they don't show mercy. They don't show mercy when they kill people. A lot of them are not Nigerians.
I hope I'm not. I hope I'm not misunderstood. See, the point I want to make is
you could easily be misunderstood.
No.
And you're saying it's human lives. Are those guys even human beings? They're not human beings. They've lost their humanity.
I think we're getting something wrong here. Nobody is saying that we don't have the very high incidence of terrorism up north. We are not condemning the actions of the police here. But we're saying the first thing you want to appreciate here is that 250 persons were allegedly killed in one day.
If it is possible that they were killed, then I thank God. If it is true, if it is true that 250 were killed,
not bandits.
Bandits, the same people who have been terrorizing Nigerians. They kill Air Force men. They kill Air Force men on that road, that building quarry. If indeed, God, if indeed Frank Umba and his people were able to kill 250, God, I thank you. This is a prayer that...
Okay, Jide, yes, my producer has been working behind the scene. I have Frank Umba, the first PRO, on the line with us. Hello, Frank. Hello.
Frank.
Hello, Frank.
Hello, good day, sir.
No, this
is not the first PRO's voice.
My name is Hussein. I'm calling from Jos.
Oh,
no, it's Frank Umba that we want to hear his voice.
Frank Umba to verify.
They just killed 250 bandits.
We want to celebrate with Frank Umba.
Hello, sir.
Oh, my producer, please work on this.
Producer, get us Frank Umba before we go. We need Frank Umba.
We need Frank Umba. We must rejoice with him.
Okay, so I was trying to make clarifications that going by the claims made by the police, we want to commend the fact that such operation took place.
Yes,
and that
led by the police.
Yes, led by the police, and that this certain number, lost their lives. Meaning that
let's leave the number that lost their lives.
It's important.
We cannot verify at our level. We are journalists. We can't verify at our level.
Absolutely. But what we're saying is that what are the implications for the security situation within that environment? We want to assume that we could have relative peace.
No, if we sustain it.
Yes.
If we sustain it.
Because across the entire Northern Belt, and Jide, you've always talked about this. It's not just about that particular forest that we're talking about in Kaduna, in Zamfara, in Borno, in Niger, in Katsina. You have them, a large belt. And they have become not just a forest, but a fortress, okay, for these terrorists. So we want to see this replicated all over the place. That's our prayer.
Yeah.
But going forward, Nigerians want to know how these operations took place. We want facts. We want details. Okay, we want to have independent...
They provided details.
Yeah, we want to have independent assessment of these operations that took place.
Can we go into the forest to do independent assessment?
Jide,
is it what we can do?
Jide, are we going to just kill 250 persons and leave them in the forest and walk away? Are we not a civilized society?
The bandits will bury their dead. Look, if you kill Boko Haram, go and ask our soldiers. No. Frank, I think the producers should
remember what happened in the case of the Shiites?
No, Frank is trying to get across to Jide, okay. But I think my producer is trying to get across to you, Frank. So, allow our producer to call you back. Okay.
In the case, remember the case of the Shiites that were killed in Zaria?
It's different.
The military owned up and said, acknowledged that 348
They
Shiites.
didn't own up.
No, they did, sir.
No, they didn't.
They did, sir.
How
did they come about the figures?
It was at the...
But they gave them a mass burial.
Hold on now. Hold on. It was at the
investigation
panel,
okay,
that a staff of the Kaduna State government came out to say that we buried more than 300 persons. The army never claimed that. Army will never tell you that it killed civilians up to that number. Now, when they are not mad, it is and that is why immediately that guy said that that was the end of the work. Because nobody expected
the inquiry.
Yes, nobody expected someone to come out and say, look,
That's genocide.
Yes, that we killed this number and that the majority of them were women and children. Let's focus on what what happened today.
No, let us even go back to the place.
Okay.
What we're saying here is, if it's deemed unprofessional to have come up with figures, then it also says a lot about how we manage such operations. Because that figure is alarming. Not just Nigerians are asking questions. The world is also going to be asking questions. I mean, we have had wars prosecuted over months, and not that number was killed. And you're talking about people killed in just one day. I don't want to be misunderstood.
Are you sympathizing with
I'm
them?
not. I'm talking about human lives here.
Yes. Okay. Well, Babajide, from what we have seen, from what we've seen here so far, when you look at the level of operation, and we're trying to talk about the police complementing what the military have been doing, and I think this is like a good development if the police can stand up, you know, for them they have like 300 plus in terms of manpower and capacity. So they should be able to complement whatever the military is doing across the country.
You see, the point that I want to make is that the police has started this already. We don't have to dwell on the number of persons that they claim that they killed. For me, the joy for me is that dreaded forest where our soldiers had been killed in the past. Remember, our soldiers deployed to that place fresh. They were sleeping when these bandits came to kill them in the forest. Now, the police is showing that it could actually be used for this kind of counter-insurgency operations. Remember, the OCSAS led a team of policemen to go and overrun Boko Haram fighters who had taken over a portion of the Damaturu-Maiduguri highway. And they not only gave the Boko Haram a bloody nose, O.C. Ibrahim and Co., let me finish this. O.C. Ibrahim and Co. recovered 2 gun trucks that were seized from the army. They recovered it from the Boko Haram men. So what we are saying is that the police should be encouraged, provided with the weapons and the things that they need, to carry out this kind of operations in support of the army. Okay. So this is what we need.
I have the first PRO now. Deputy Commissioner of Police, Frank Umba. Hello, Frank.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, my brother.
I must say, congratulations on your giant stride in Binigwari, Kaduna State.
Thank you, and God bless you, and God bless those of you are journalists that are consistently speaking the truth.
Okay. Thank you. How did the operation go?
Well, my brother,
Go on.
It was a very intensive operation. It was a very bold, daring, decisive, and audacious operation.
Okay.
Deep into the enemy's territory.
Yeah.
Jida, I would like you to know a few things about that camp. The camp in Kuduru is one of the largest, one of the most organized, and one of the most self-sustaining criminal camps within the north-central part of Nigeria. It is run essentially by the Ansaru terror group, who had recruited into his fold, or rather welcomed with open hands into his fold, bandits that are fleeing from different parts of the country, including Zamfara, Katsina, and the rest, and including some even from the theater of war in the northeastern part of the country. Hitherto, the terror elements in that camp consider that camp impregnable and beyond the striking reach of the security agencies, giving these criminals a pseudo and delusional sense of invisibility. We had worked on intelligence around that camp for a very long time. Before we carried out that operation, we had convinced ourselves beyond all doubt that there were no innocent hostages being held in that camp. As a matter of fact, some of the suspects we have earlier arrested, who are members of that camp, told us that the leaders of that camp policy and rule that victims must not be brought into the camp. Because from experience, they have found that each time they collect money and release them, during their debriefing with law enforcement agencies, they give out more information about wherever they are held. So when we moved into that camp, we were confident that every person in that camp is either an active member of Ansarudin, a bandit, a kidnapper, or an accessory before, during, and after the act of the crime. When we got in there, we did not have an easy ride. It wasn't an easy operation. And we never expected it ab initio to be won. As I speak to you, mop-up operations are still going on. We have recovered a total of 11 AK-47 rifles, 730 rounds of AK-47 ammunition, 152 rounds of GPMG ammunition in 2 long chains, 13 pairs of military camouflage, 2 cartons, and 48 sachets of tramadol.
On drugs.
They're always on drugs.
We also suffered some injuries. It was not without any casualty on our part at all. As a matter of fact, we lost Inspector Mohammed Abubakar.
Yeah.
And may his soul rest in perfect peace. Inspector Mohammed Abubakar is one of our finest officers, one of the finest members of the police special forces. He was among the nucleus and the pioneer members of the special forces that were trained in Belarus. And he has received other extensive trainings after he returned from Belarus. And he has also participated in so many counter-insurgency operations. He died in that operation. We also have 18 other members of the force, of the Nigerian police force, who were injured, who were injured during that operation.
18.
13.
13. Okay. Okay.
And this 13 also includes the 2 A-wing operatives, police A-wing operatives, the pilot and the co-pilot.
Okay.
What happened?
And so, for us, it was a successful operation. We will continue to carry out similar operations. We will continue to do everything that is humanly and operationally possible to recover all public spaces under the control of the bandits and the criminals. We expected that there will be criticisms, but people must remember that Nigerians are being killed in thousands.
Yes.
People must remember that Nigerians are being held hostages daily. People must remember that members of the police force, members of the military, members of other security agencies are being killed daily by these bandits and terror elements. How long must we continue in seeing that grace may abound? Okay. We will fight back, and we will reclaim all our territories under their control.
Thank you. How many hours did this last, the operation?
That operation started in the early hours of yesterday and lasted late into the night.
Tell us about the helicopter, the air wing. Tell us about what happened.
That helicopter yesterday was providing area reconnaissance It was providing area surveillance as well as area support to the ground troops when it suddenly came under attack from the bandits. They shot at the helicopter, successfully hitting the helicopter. But thankfully and commendably, the pilot and the co-pilot showed uncommon bravery and uncommon skill in safely and successfully navigating that helicopter out of the danger zone and landed within the premises of the Nigerian Air Force in Kaduna. From that point, they were evacuated and rushed to the hospital, and they are still currently being treated. The helicopter itself yesterday was flown back to Abuja and is currently parked at the police hangars of the A Wing. So, Jide discountenanced those rumors that it was brought down. If it was brought down, the terrorists will make a show out of it. And they will even set it ablaze.
Oh, I believe it wasn't brought down. I believe it wasn't brought down. So well, we thank God. Thank you so much for your time. We want the police to sustain this kind of operations. I think that there are many units within the police.
I wanted him to tell us about
that are capable of carrying out
the squad, the anti.
Oh, the special force.
Special force, yes.
Yes, he talked about it briefly, that some of them have been trained abroad and all that. And in the Northeast, they've been trained in the Northeast. A lot of policemen have received training. I've seen them even wearing their uniform. So the police is being prepared to carry out operations similar to what the army is carrying out now. What we are saying is that if the police will be sufficiently equipped, if the police will be provided with all that they need, that there is a lot more that the police can do. And that was why I referred to the operation on the Damaturu-Maiduguri highway. I'm sure that Frank has something to tell us about what happened on that road when the police attacked Boko Haram on that highway and recovered gun trucks. Do we still have Frank on the line?
Hello. We lost. Okay.
So this is what we want. This is what we want to see.
Okay.
The army is overstretched. They've done so much. We need the police now to step up to the plate and do this kind of job. It was Colonel Alabi Sama who once said on TVC that the police, if they are sufficiently equipped, can deal a decisive blow on Boko Haram. All you need to do is provide them with the weapons. Colonel Alabi Sama said that. I mean, is it General Alabi Sama? And I believe him. I believe him. This is evidence that it can be done. And it has to be done on a sustainable basis. There are units within the police. The Special Anti-Robbery Squad was the one that led the operation in Maiduguri. You know? On that dreaded road, they went and dealt a decisive blow on Boko Haram. And there are other units, apart from the special forces of the police, that can also do that. It's all about providing the equipment. In my view, the last administration that sufficiently provided all that the police needed in our country was the Shagari regime. You know? Yes. Some administrations came after that, and out of envy, some military administrations came after the Shagari regime, and out of envy went on a mission to decimate the police, make the police weak. You know, when the time of when we had Adewusi as IGP. Yes, the police was well funded. Well, and they had all that they needed.
The likes of MD.
So if we will fund the police, I'm convinced that the police can do some of the work that the army now does. If we provide them with the equipment, with the APCs that they need and everything, and Nigerians will be happier.
Sam, do you share the same point of view?
Absolutely. First, I'd like to condole with the police. When the reports initially emerged, we were told, or we read that there weren't casualties. So learning about the officer that was lost is indeed a very sad development. I would like to condole with the Nigerian police. The police would like to condole with the police, and the family, of the inspector who died. And just like Jude said, we want to be sure that this is done on a sustainable basis. There are forests all over, the entire northern belt. We want to see this action, we want to see this operation, replicated all over the place, yes. And then provide a secure, better and safe environment for Nigerians. That's what we're asking for.
Ultimately, I think the police should take its right of place
in
internal security.
Absolutely, so that our soldiers can go back and face the issue of territorial management.
Once the police begin to record successes such as this, the fate of the Nigerian people in the police will be greater. And when Nigerians have greater faith in the police, honestly, the Nigerians will provide the support that the police needs. They will provide the support that the police need, and information that the police require to crack crime. Nigerians will provide. We have diminished the police for too long. You have a divisional police unit. You are providing a divisional police unit with just 40,000 impressed for a quarter. What can they do with it? That is why it is said that there is this notion that 80% of the money that the police actually use to fight crime is actually a proceed of crime itself. Bribe. Because on the highway, even the vehicles that they use to do patrol, sometimes the police go on their way to hire vehicle to do patrol.
Oh, they have to recoup.
What's it called? They hire even yellow buses.
Yeah.
We see that they hire, because we have not provided enough buses for them. And even the ones, a DPO is looking at vans, police vans, grounded. Some of them without tires in his police post. He cannot do anything about it. So you want them to do raids, to survey an area. They don't have the tools to do it. They now have to go and hire. It's happening everywhere. Go to even the south. You see policemen, all these small buses, they go to hire. They pay the people who give them those buses. And we want the best from the police. We are not serious people. That's not how to get the best out of your police. Whether it is just 10 persons that they killed or 1 million persons that they killed, the significant thing that has happened is that the police took the battle to the den of the enemy. These Ansaru people were the ones who attacked the emir of Potiskum.
This is with anti-aircraft
no, of course, because they are
terrorists.
They are a faction of Boko Haram. They came out of Boko Haram. Ansaru used to be part of Boko Haram. And the best weapons that Boko Haram uses is the AA, the anti-aircraft guns. That's why when they storm an area, you can see that if you see them holding the anti-aircraft, even if you are a soldier who is the bravest, you will run away. AK-47 cannot stand before an AA because even the impact on your body is easier. Imagine you can be fired by an AK-47 and still survive. But if you are fired out by an AA, something designed to bring down aircraft, you are not going to be alive to tell the story. So this is the thing.
To decimate
many of the bandits operating in Birnin-Gwari, in Safana, in Rugu Forest, all of those places, many of them have rocket-propelled grenades.
RPG.
I've seen bandits eyeball to eyeball. I went to do story about them. I went to interview bandits. I've seen them. I know the weapons at their disposal. So this is the thing. It's just, we thank God that the police conducted this operation with minimal casualties. And that is the good news about it. Now this will encourage them to take the battle to other places. And that officer who led the operation on the Maiduguri highway, the IG has to honor him. They have to reward him for the successful operation against Boko Haram men on the Maiduguri Damaturu highway. Because we really need to encourage
sometimes the morale is coming back somehow.
Absolutely. I mean, one can imagine, the level of enthusiasm even within the ranks and file. I mean, you go to war and you come back with permit me, accolades, as it were. You know, the outcome of the operation is a very massive one. It will boost the morale within the camp, you know, of the police, no doubt about it. And that's why we are calling for sustenance of what has happened. Across the entire length and breadth of this country, we have security challenges. And we would like the police to be at the forefront. We want to see less of our soldiers because they are not designed to manage internal security. I mean, the territories are there for them to keep watch over. That's what we're saying. We want to see the police occupy the pride of place when it comes to protecting lives, you know, and properties. That is the promise the government has made to Nigerians, and that's what we expect to get from the government.
One way by which we can also achieve that is to even increase the number of policemen. Yeah. For years, we didn't do recruitment to the police consistently. Now we have to bring in more people into the force. We are losing policemen every day. Some policemen are retiring. So we have to
and when we bring them in, they should not protect VIPs.
No, they will still protect VIPs.
As in the number of the percentage, it is not the harrowing percentage. The number.
Sometimes you understand they make money from it.
People that provide VIP, according to Frank,
they get paid for such services.
We are not many. There are not many. Yeah, we want them. Police are not enough.
Okay.
We have the lowest civilian to police ratio in the world.
Yes.
In the world. So let them bring in enough. If we say, every IG will come and will say, I'm withdrawing all the policemen guiding VIPs. After some time, they will be returned. Let's not even go into that because these VIPs are powerful. Whether we like it or not, they will get policemen to protect them. But we need more policemen so that those of us who are not VIPs, at least we'll be sure that our communities are protected. So that is it.
Are you sure you're not VIP?
At least you had some escort last time.
You better bring escort for Babajide. Sam Bimiri, I want to thank you. Thank you for this edition of Journalist Hangout and the maestro himself. Thank you, Babajide. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You watch Journalist Hangout on our platforms showing on the screen. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Bye for now and God bless Nigeria.